When in Rome, do as the Romans do, as they say. But if you're in your home watching modern takes on ancient Rome, well, they say the camera adds 10 pounds. So if you want to stack like a movie Roman, you better get going. So this tends to be a weird time of year to talk about the value of gold or silver because there are a few things that lead to really low seasonal demand. People tend to sell gold or silver to free up cash for gifts. That just makes sense. Dealers have been telling me that happens every year for about as long as I can remember. And then holiday stress, that affects lots of people lots of ways. It's going to affect demand as well. And then this year in particular, I have to imagine there are people out there liquidating hard assets to jump into Bitcoin. A lot like we probably saw in 2021. Now, does it make sense? It's not my call, but regardless of all of that, this is a better time of year to talk about planning. And if I was going to give any advice on planning, I would say the most important and the most universally applicable would be to stack what you can afford and stack what you can sell. So the universal part that I mentioned there is knowing what you can afford. That's important in building a habit. I was able to consistently buy quarter-ounce gold eagle every month for years. Now that amount is going to be different for everyone, but building up these 1 ounce coins for me, that was never really a habit, and it was a lot harder. Something that stung a little bit more with every purchase, and something I can't always do this time of year. Like I mentioned earlier, it's a high expense, high stress time of year for lots of people, and that includes me. Now I've been showing these fractional coin wallets from Summit Metals a lot lately. I like them for a few reasons. One of those is that the price of gold is just really high, but each wallet represents a little bit of a micro gold. Now, if you would fill this one, it's an ounce of gold, or it's 2 ounces of gold if you stack those quarters, but each individual purchase doesn't sting like 1 or 2 ounces of gold would on its own. On these wallets, of course, summitmetals.com, they're in the add-on section. You can hit them up if you're looking for gold or silver. Grab a wallet if you want to make it a little bit more fun. Now, sticking with that fractional idea for a minute, I was making a short about Roman coins the other day and had to scrap it after watching Gladiator II. I need to remake it now because there's a scene where Denzel Washington's character Macrinus makes a bet with the Roman senator for 1,000 gold denarii. Which is cool, but that's not a thing. They were going for Aurii. Gold aureus is worth 25 silver denarii. And unfortunately, there are probably 3, maybe 4 scenes that make it very clear that they were too lazy to even make an attempt at historical accuracy when it comes to gold. In a later scene, without spoiling anything, Macrinus gives Hanno 2 gold coins that I suppose look like modern high-relief gold coins, something maybe people would be more familiar with. They look more like this rooster, even one of the buffaloes, than any gold aureus that would have been accurate to the time. Now, coins he shuffles around look like they're probably 1 ounce to 1.5 ounces of gold, and that would be about a year's wage for a centurion, 15 aurii, give or take, and more than most Romans would ever see at any one time. Now, you can see these are about 7 grams of gold, so just a little bit smaller than a quarter ounce of gold. And I think my original point was going to be about the significance of that size of coin. Now, my plan for next year is pretty simple. It's just a base recurring purchase and then more when or if I'm ahead. Now, personally, my stress comes from debt or possible loss of income, so I save. And that doesn't mean that I don't invest or do other things to plan for retirement. It just means I have a backup fund in case something bad happens. And if it doesn't, well, it's just more retirement savings. Now, just grabbing an example here, if my base purchase was 1/4 ounce of gold per month, that'd be 3 ounces of gold per year. It's about $8,000 put aside in current nominal value. So let's address premiums here quick. My gold buying habit, it's pretty much locked in at this point. So if I wanted 3 ounces of gold in a year, I would probably buy larger coins less often. So a 1 ounce coin has a lower premium than a quarter ounce coin, or 4 quarter ounce coins. So I would save money if I did it that way. I would just have to figure out how to save ahead of those purchases because, again, they sting. Now, if I didn't have that habit locked in, I would just go with quarters because habits are built by doing something over and over, and a monthly cadence is a much easier way to do that. Earlier, I think I gave 2 bits of advice for building a good stacking strategy. The first was buying what you can afford. That's why I've been talking about fractional. The second, though, is to buy what you can sell. Now, why would I even mention selling? Well, these coins, they aren't good examples of buying something I could quickly liquidate. Now, they are coins that are rare. They're popular for semi-numismatics. They're part of popular series. So yeah, I could sell them, but that would typically mean selling to a private party and probably selling one at a time. So if my primary reason for doing this is a backup against possible rainy days, well, the thing about rainy days is that they sneak up on you. And I would rather not have a backup fund of coins that take longer to sell. That doesn't mean these are a bad idea, because buying series coins would probably be another good way to force a habit, because nobody wants to miss a release. And the only thing to be aware of, though, is that if an emergency does come up, dealing with a difficult sale could just make things worse. So let's just all assume that all of us have a little bit more anxiety than normal this time of year. Hopefully you don't, but playing the stats, most of us do. And getting a plan together is a really good way to deal with that kind of thing, because it gives you something you can control. I know a lot of people have a lot more to worry about than what kind of gold to buy, when to buy it, but most of us worry about things that never actually happen, especially during the holidays. High expenses, high stress, that's a really good way to fall into a funk if you let it. So here's an upside. Premiums on gold and silver are the best they've been in a long time, meaning they're the lowest. Summit Metals has crazy prices on American Gold Eagles and really lots of other stuff too, but those Eagle prices tend to be my marker. It isn't just the premiums, though. The spot price rally stalled as well. So all year long, it had seemed like every time I went to buy, the price was significantly higher than the prior purchase. And that's just not normal. It's hard to get used to a price that's escalating so quickly. Now, the price pullback, that makes coming in at the beginning of 2025 a lot easier than any other time in 2024. So a great time of the year to put a plan together. I mentioned a quarter ounce of gold per month a lot, because it's simple. I hear comments about the size and the premiums. Well, like I said, the premiums are as low as they've been in a long time, and I've always thought quarters were a good size. They seem significant. Comparing them to history, they're larger than the gold LMUs like the 20 franc Roosters and Helvetias. They're slightly larger than a Roman Aureus, at least if we're not going off of what we just saw in Gladiator II. And if you were comparing a plan of 1/4 ounce of gold a month, you'd be about on par with the Roman centurion's annual salary 16 years after the death of Marcus Aurelius. That would be, of course, in gold content and not in nominal value. But a centurion made 15 gold aurei per annum. That's 105 grams of gold, or just about 13 quarter-ounce gold coins. So you'd have to fit another one in there. But that would be saving a Roman centurion's annual salary. Seems like a pretty good plan. So let's call it good there. Let us know what you're planning for 2025. And I don't know, whether you saw Gladiator II when you wondered what 1,000 gold denarii was. Denzel's first bet is going to be 1,000 gold denarii, but then he's like, let's make it 2, because I guess we're making up words anyway. Anyway, I would fight the guy for 2,000 of those giant gold coins in the movie. We're getting into Mike Tyson, Jake Paul type money, but I'm off track. So let us know your plans in the comments. And of course, while you're there, be sure to hit that like button if you found any of this interesting. Be sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on if you want to hear more on the topic. And if you're still here, thanks again for watching. I always appreciate your time. Take care.